Not a weekend goes by when I do not get a phone call, Mr Acting Deputy President, of someone needing some assistance in the women's shelters. And so I go. I will go and take out a cousin, I will go and take out my auntie, I will go and take out my sister, and this becomes a regular part. And I'm so grateful to our women's shelters, to the Darwin Aboriginal Islander Women's Shelter in Darwin City, to the Katherine Women's Shelter, to the Tennant Creek Women's Shelter, to the Alice Springs Women's Shelter, and all of those women who work out in our regional communities trying to provide a safe environment for what is still, unfortunately, a reoccurring case of violence. Because we do find the absence of being able to financially move out of these situations is the next step that legislators have to make. I raise that because I am deeply disturbed by the fact that this government, which can do so much more, has taken away the emergency funding for our women's shelters. Now, for places like the Darwin Aboriginal Islander Women's Shelter, $38,000 has been removed. When you think about the billions of dollars that can go into any organisation, any kind of large-scale national programs, when you take away $38,000 from the Darwin Aboriginal Islander Women's Shelter, that means they cannot take in a family, they cannot put them up at Daisy Y, which is one of the Aboriginal hostels. They cannot provide taxi fares to be able to get them from, say, for example, the hospital, if they're leaving the hospital, to get them to the shelter. These are small things, but they mean so much, Mr Acting Deputy President. The Darwin Aboriginal Islander Women's Shelter is an appropriate service for First Nations women who are escaping domestic and family violence, sexual abuse, and who are homeless. And it's been operating for the past 33 years. And it's governed by a board of Indigenous women, and 95% of its staff is Indigenous. It also provides 24-hour domestic violence crisis accommodation for women and children escaping domestic family violence and sexual abuse and assault. And it provides 8 transitional housing units, domestic violence outreach programs for women and children, and the Darwin Indigenous Men's Service, because we have to work with our men. Men are very much part of the problem, but they're incredibly so much part of the solution. And so DOORS works with the men. It makes sure that the program is there to assist men to come through and work holistically in terms of giving them hope for the kind of future they need to have, a future that doesn't involve violence. So with the removal of the $38,000, it has created a great gap for DOORS. But not only them, it's also about the women's refuges in Tennant Creek and Katherine, which have also seen their funding cut. And they've been told to move clients to mainstream services. And you might think that that's okay, but let me tell you, it is not okay. It is not okay, because these services are culturally appropriate and they work. They work. How do I know? Because I go there so often. And assist with trying to help a lot of these families move from the circumstances that they're in. Much of the time, it's repetitive, as many people would know, in terms of trying to leave a domestic violence situation. It can take decades, because people still go back to that situation for different reasons. So these services in Katherine and Tennant Creek and Alice Springs are critical. Again, we are talking around $38,000 in the emergency fund. It's the relief fund. Giving it to a mainstream service, and I know my colleague here, Senator Jenny McAllister, was with me as we went and sat with the women in Katherine. Having that appropriate service means so much for these families. And I would call on the government, I would call on the minister, don't hide behind the excuse that you are giving that money to mainstream service and that's okay, because it's not okay. It is not okay. Give the money to where it belongs and where it has been adequately and appropriately spent over the last 10 or 11 years. So this removal isn't good enough. And I would urge you, urge you to reconsider that decision, because you can reconsider that decision and you can make a difference to these services, especially before we come to this Christmas season, where we know that unfortunately, again, the violence rates increases at these times. We know that these kind of gatherings do bring, while they must, we want Christmas to bring happiness, but let me tell you, it also brings some really serious situations that can result, unfortunately, in the death of loved ones. So I would urge the government to reconsider its position on these emergency relief fundings, in particular for the First Nations services in this country, and I would urge you to give them the Christmas present that they deserve, so that they can look after the families who most desperately need the Christmas present that we all would like to give our families. And that is one of love, that is one of hope, and that is one of decency and dignity and respect, knowing that every individual in this country deserves to have a future without violence.